Hello and welcome to lesson number 2. And we're looking at frequency tables and histograms. So what's the goal for today? I can create, bad spelling on my part there, I want you to be able to create a tally, frequency table, and histogram when I give you a set of data. So those are the 3 goals. I'm going to show you how to make a tally, I'm going to show you how to do a frequency table, and I'm going to show you how to read and create histograms. So definitions again. There's always definitions when we're trying to clean up some of this stuff. What is frequency? What is frequency? Frequency is the number of times an event or piece of data occurs. So how many people said they were 15 years old? That's frequency, how often it was done. A frequency table is a table that lists all the outcomes and shows how often each piece of data occurred. So instead of just the people who are 15, you're going to see people who are 16, 17, 18, and how many of those there were. And finally, a histogram. It is a bar graph that shows the frequency of how often each piece of data occurred. So frequency is how often things occur. Frequency table shows how often every piece of data occurred. And a histogram is a nice picture summarizing your frequency. So here's the first example. Use the given graph to answer the following. So A part, what is the most common height among students? What's the most common height? So I'm looking at A part here. So I want to know what's the most common height. So the common height would be the one that occurred the most often. So if I look at my graph, the highest peak is right here. It happened most often, and it is a height of 180 centimeters. So 180 centimeters, because that occurred most often. If you look at your x-axis here, or sorry, y up here, this says number of students. Number of students, okay? So frequency is how many students answered that they were 180 centimeters tall. The second one, B part, how many students were taller than 170? So we are looking for students that are taller than 170. So over here, here's 170. I want to know all the ones that were taller. So the ones that are taller would be these 2 heights here, 180 and 190. So how many people? I see that there were 115 people that said they were, or sorry, not 115. There were 15 people that said they were 180 centimeters, plus there were 3 people who said they were 190. So it'd be 18. So therefore, 18 people are taller than 170 centimeters. All right. How many people were shorter than 140? Shorter than 140. So here's 140. Oops. Here's 140. People shorter are the ones right here, 120 and 130. So I know that there are 3 people that said they were 120, and there were 3 people that said they were 130. So that means there are 6 people are shorter than 140. And the last one asks, how many people or how many students were surveyed for this question? So this is, and maybe I didn't point this off the start, this is a histogram right here. A histogram shows all the possible results. So here are the possible results, the possible heights, and it shows how often each height occurred. How many people answered, that's how tall I am. So this is an example of a histogram. So if I was to go through and analyze each one here, I know that there are 3 people said 120, 3 people said 130, 2 people said 140, 8 said 150, 6 said 160, 8, we already said that that one was 15, and the last one was 3. So how many people were surveyed here? We'd have to add up the frequency of each one. So 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 15 plus 3. So you're going to use your calculator here. I'll speed up the process. That's 16, 22, 30, 30, 45, 48. So therefore, 48 people were surveyed. So it's just reading information from a histogram. So the next question then, how do I create the histogram? Well, it's easiest to start with a tally in order to create a histogram. So here, the example is, the following is a list of how many shots Jess took during her ringette game throughout the season, so the different games. So it looks like she played 28 games this year. Use the data to answer the following. So construct a frequency table. So I'm looking at A part here. So if I'm going to construct a frequency table, I have to list all of the data. So I'm looking at the data now. I'm over here, and I need to find what are the possible answers here. All right, so I'm going to create a shots column. So when I look at it, I see that there is a game where she had 0 shots, so I have to have 0 in my chart. And as I scan through it, it looks like the maximum number of shots she got was 10. So I'm going to create 0 through 10 here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there we go. Next, I'm going to do frequency. Frequency, so how often each one occurred. So I'm going to split this into, I'm going to make a nice little chart. So I'm going to put a line across for each one. And what I'm going to do is, as I identify a piece of data, I'm going to cross it off. So here I set a 5. So I'm going to create a tally down here beside the 5. Okay, so tally, I'm just putting a stroke every time I see one. So a 1, so I put 1 there, an 8, a 9, a 0, a 10, a 4, a 3, now an 8, I put another dash. So the dashes are just how many times it occurred. 5, 6, 2, 8. I'm finding Jess is very inconsistent with her ringette. 6, a 4, a 3, a 7, a 9, a 10, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 2, another 6, another 8, a 7. Now you notice I went for a cross hash across 8, and then it gives me groups of 5. It's easier to count, so we group things in 5s. A 5. So now I'm going to create a new column, and this is what you're going to be doing today. A total. So I had a 1, a 1, a 2, a 2, a 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, and a 2. And there we go. There is our frequency table. Okay, so that is our frequency table. So they do take a little bit of time. It's a good thing I'm not asking you to do hundreds and hundreds of them. So I'm just going to group that. I'm going to shrink it just because I need to need a little bit more room here. So I'll put it off to the side. Okay, so that's A part done. So I'll put the A beside it for you. So A is done. Draw a histogram. I need to draw a bar graph. So with my bar graph, draw it over here. You'll have a little bit more space. So I'll draw there, across the bottom. So I'm going to go with shots on what we call the x-axis. And on the y-axis, I'm going to put frequency. So frequency always goes on this axis. We call it the y-axis. And I got to go all the way up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oh, close, 9, 10. So now I'm going to construct some bars here. So I want to show how often each one occurred. So I'll use green. So 0 shots occurred once. And color that in. 1 shot occurred once. Color that in. 2 shots occurred twice. 3 shots occurred twice. So I'm just reading. If you're wondering where I'm getting these numbers, I'm looking at 0 shots happened once. 1 shot happened once. 2 shots happened twice. So I'm just reading from there. So 3 shots happened twice. 4 shots happened twice. Just not very consistent. Just all over the place here. 5 shots occurred 3 times. 6 shots occurred 4 times. 7 shots occurred 3 times. 8 shots occurred 5 times. I got to move my chart. Oops, move the A as well. So that's 4 there. So 5. Something like that. You'll have graph paper to work it with, so yours is a little bit easier. 9 happened 3 times. And 10 happened twice. So there we go. So there's a histogram. So there's our B part answered. So there is the frequency table converted to a histogram. How many times did she get 6 or more shots? So 6 or more. So I'm looking at 6 here, and that happened 4 times, 3, 5, 3, and 2. So to get that answer, she got 4 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2. That gives me 10, 17. So therefore, 17 games, she got 6 or more shots. How many games did she get 3 or less? 3 or less. So 2, 2, 1, and 1. So if I was a coach, I'm looking at this. I'm going to be telling Jess, better pull up her socks. But 6 games were 3 or less. And finally, in what fraction of the games did she get 8 shots? What fraction of the game did she get 8 shots? So we know that she got 5 games, she got 8 shots, and I know there are 28 pieces of data, and I did that from above here. I counted, I had 4 rows and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. So that means 4 times 7 means that there's 28 pieces of data there. All right. So therefore, 5/28 of the time, she gets 8 shots. So that's what you're working on today. You're just working with histograms, practicing your tallies, and making those histograms from your tallies. So good luck, and if you have any questions, let me know.